Hey, Shalom, this is your brother Yawanathan. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rukai Kudash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. I want to say Shalom to all the brothers and, of course, the few sisters who are pursuing this truth in sincerity. All right, may the blessing of election be upon your house. This is your daily warning to repent, okay? And before the Lord destroys a kingdom, any place, you can go throughout this volume of the book. He always sends men out to warn the people of what's to come. So let's go to Ezekiel, the 3rd chapter, really quick. All right, so let me get it up on the screen here for you guys. There we go. All right, so we're commanded to warn the righteous and the wicked alike. All right, so this is Ezekiel 3:17. It says, Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore, hear the word at my mouth and give them warning from me. Just a quick point. Back in ancient times, when a prophet would say, "Thus saith the Lord," and you see all the men of the Lord throughout the volume of the book, when they would end a statement or something that came from the Most High, they would say, "Thus saith the Lord." That was under the threat of death. You understand? If you were speaking false things, man, you could, as a man of the Lord, you could be put to death. So it was a very serious thing when a man would say, "Thus saith the Lord." All right. So when you're giving somebody warning from the Most High, you better make sure that you're on point. And even today, we have a lot of people who are, pushing vibrations that the Lord doesn't push. And that still stands today, man. It's under the threat of death for them pushing false doctrine, for them leading the people astray. The Lord is going to require their blood. They didn't warn the people properly. All right, Ezekiel 3:17 again from the top. Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore, hear the word at my mouth and give them warning from me. Okay, let me turn this down a little bit. Give them warning from me. And when I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die, and thou givest them not warning, nor speakest to warn the wicked from his wicked way, to save his life, the same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at thine hand. All right. So this is a deadly serious. And I want to look up that word watchman in verse 17, which is tazapah. And it says to look out or about, spy, keep watch, observe. But when you go down to the Strong's definition, it says something interesting. It says to lean forward, to peer. Let me highlight this. It says to peer into the distance. So the Lord is giving men with vision so that you don't perish. And the scriptures say what? Where there is no vision, the people perish. So there's no out for, 2/3 of our people who just are stuck on stupid. All right. So while we brought it up, let's go get Proverbs 29:18. It says, where there is no vision, the people perish. But he that keepeth the law, happy is he, because they're going to have an opportunity to be hidden in the Lord's anger, man. Famine, pestilence, the sword, all these things are coming upon the earth. If I was a thinking man myself, I would be like, okay, the Lord is telling us, pursuant to Matthew 24:21 and Daniel 12:1, that the worst time ever on earth is coming. All right, worse than slavery, worse than any genocide that was committed in all the time. The Lord is saying it's going to be worse than all of those things. They're going to be talking about this time in the future that's coming, how evil it was, how dark it was. Right? I would think to myself, okay, how do I evade that destruction? All right. But again, like I just stated, the Lord always sends you men with the vision to warn you so that you don't perish. Let's read this one more time. Proverbs 29:18. Where there is no vision, the people perish. But he that keepeth the law, happy is he. And we're supposed to be rehearsing the righteous acts to the best of our ability. Now we go to Jeremiah 28:8, just to back up the statement that the Lord always gives people an out. All right. Jeremiah 28:8, it says, the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries. Now, there's much you can pull from this statement. Okay. The men of the Lord are always going to be prophesying against the kingdoms that they dwell in. They're never going to be in the spirit of God bless Babylon, God bless Assyria, God bless Egypt, the true men of the Lord, right? Or God bless America. Now, what you have here on this side, just like you had in ancient times, you have many people who are uplifting the nation that we're dwelling in. Okay, the men of the Lord are only going to be advocates for the kingdom of heaven being established. So if somebody's coming to you saying peace and safety, you know that no, that's not the time for that. Before the kingdom of heaven is established, much destruction and death is going to take place. You don't get peace by peace. Before you ever have long, even here on this side, before you have long lasting peace, what precedes it? War. So the Lord is proclaiming war among the nations. Now we don't want to get caught in the crossfire. And that's why in Zephaniah 2 and 3, it tells us what? Seek righteousness, seek meekness, so that you may be hid in the day of the Lord's anger. All right, let's go back to it. All right, let's finish this verse off here. Jeremiah 28 and 8. The prophets that have been before thee and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence. Now, let's sit back and think. Does not America embody all of those things? They've been at war more than half of the time that they've been a country. They push their wicked vibration or their way of right and wrong morality all over the world, and they're able to do it because they've set up bases in every part of the world. The world is still forced to use the dollar, so they're forcing the world to be like them, which is contrary to the ways that the Lord gave us. So evil. So they embody war and evil and pestilence, man. Not just are they a spiritual pestilence to the people, but you have the center of the disease control here. A lot of things, a lot of diseases, and this whole pandemic that played off. America is the country that's being used. The corporation that's being used by the elites to push this fear out there, to establish many of these wicked diseases. Look, Gates of Hell, he's bought up so much farmland. The majority of the restaurants and grocery stores that you go to here in Babylon, they grow from his farms. This is the same man who years ago, and we showed you guys the clip, who about 9 years ago had that TED Talk where he said, we can get the population down if we do a really good job with vaccines. We got to use code words here on YouTube because YouTube has a thing for people speaking out against evil or calling out the powers that be. They'll cut your page. They'll take your videos down. They'll try to shut you up. And it's getting ready to come to a head, an all-time high, especially as the chariots show themselves more, as the prophecies unfold a bit more. It's going to get to the point where people are looking for answers, and the only people who are going to have detailed answers are going to be the men of the Lord. So the plug is going to be pulled on us. That's why it says to make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, because there's an expiration date on the ministry. We're not going to be out here making video epistles and on the highways and byways forever. There's a time limit to where you can get it. And the scriptures even prophesy about when the famine of the word hits, people are going to be voyaging from all over the world trying to find men of the Lord to understand what's going on around them and what they should do. But the Lord's going to have it to where we're going to be hidden. You're going to be hard pressed to come by a man of the Lord who has the actual understanding, who understands the prophecies in detail. You see? So time is of the essence, man. Like it says in Psalms 119 and 9, wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way? By taking heed thereto according to thy word. All right? So yeah, man, a great destruction is coming. The book of Ezekiel, I'm actually go to we were in Ezekiel 3. Let's go finish Ezekiel 3, and then I'm going to jump to Ezekiel 7. All right? Ezekiel 3, and we're going to jump back down to verse 17. Again, man, this is a deadly serious thing. This is Ezekiel 3 and 17. Son of man, I have made thee a watchman. And we got that word, all right, which is a watchman peers into the future. So the men of the Lord have foresight. They're able to look far into the distance and see what the end of a thing is going to be. The watchman unto the house of Israel, therefore hear the word at my mouth, and give them warning from me. When I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die, and thou givest him not warning, nor speakest to warn the wicked from his wicked way to save his life, the same wicked man shall die in his iniquity. So he's going to get judged for being a wicked nigga. But if you didn't warn him, look what else happens. But his blood will I require at thine hand. So the Lord going to judge you too, because you knew better. you should have said something. You know, if you see a blind man, paraphrasing for those, it's parabolic for those who can't see spiritually, and he's sitting on a train track, and the train's coming, because our people are blind and deaf, right? And you see the train coming, and you see this guy standing on the tracks, and he's unaware. Well, aren't you gonna push him, jolt him a little bit, and say, "Hey, man, get off this track, or you getting ready to get ran over"? That train is a judgment coming. If you see that and you don't try to warn the person, it's almost like you aided and abetted in their destruction. So we want to have our hands clean of our people's blood. So we're instructed to warn them, whether they hear or forbear. All right, verse 19. Yet if thou warn the wicked, and he turn not from his wickedness, nor from his wicked way, he shall die in his iniquity, but thou hast delivered thy soul. So that's the light we want to be in. Even if they don't listen, man, we did our job, you know, so that we could be, you know, out of the way of the judgment. But Abaratazah, Lord willing, you know, by us standing uprightly, we can be an umbrella to our household. Is that going to be the case for everybody? Of course not. Some brothers, you can be doing everything you're supposed to do, but the Lord's still going to judge those who are close to you. But it's going to be some instances where through a man's, you know, standing uprightly, the Lord will save the entire house and put the spirit on that man's household to obey, to believe, to follow. All right. Verse 20. Again, when a righteous man doth turn from his righteousness and commit iniquity, and I lay a stumbling block before him, he shall die, because thou hast not given him warning. He shall die in his sin, and his righteousness which he have done shall not be remembered. And I brought this out a couple lessons ago, alluding to the fact, man, we've come too far to turn back now. We're closer to the reward than we are to, you know, where we first started. So for a man to go back into the world, you got to question, did he ever really believe it all? Okay. Now let's go back to this, and we're going to finish this off. Then we're going to jump to the 7th chapter. Okay. He said, he shall die in his sin, and his righteousness which he have done shall not be remembered. And there are many examples, even in my short time being in the truth, that I could recall. Okay. Men that were heads of entire camps. But they couldn't receive rebuke, or they just were overwhelmed with with FOMO. Yadi Ariella always goes into that, the fear of missing out. They feel like they were missing something in the world that they didn't get the chance to do. So, you know, they get dragged back into iniquity by that. Many examples, man. And all the works that they did, great teachers, great orators. You know, nobody recalls them. Their works aren't remembered. To do all that work, man, you know, and just like it talks about in Luke, the example with the parable with the man who built his house upon the sand, and the man who built his house upon a rock. Okay, it talks about the man, you know, building his house, and he didn't have, you know, sufficient enough to finish. You started building a house, and it was halfway built, and you just said, man, screw this. And how people are going to mock him and laugh. So, you know, before you get into this thing and you take it serious, count the cost. Are you in it for the long haul? You should be, because this is the only avenue to where you can receive salvation. Okay? There's no other way. The scriptures say if somebody tries to come up another way, that person is a thief and a robber. All right, verse 21. Nevertheless, if thou warn the righteous man that the righteous sin not, and he doth not sin, he shall surely live, because he is warned. Also, thou hast delivered thy soul. Now let's go to Ezekiel 7th chapter. Jump down to verse 19. And excuse me, I'm feeling a little under the weather right now, so if I'm not exalting my voice, my mic should be picking my voice up fine. Ezekiel 7:19. All right, because I want to get this point as well, that there's no level of substance that you can have in the world. There's no, you know, money that you can have that's going to deliver you in the day of the Lord's evil as well. Because a majority of our people, they kind of wave their hand at this word, man, because they're like, man, I'm just trying to get this money. I'm just trying to get, carnally in a place where I feel I have security. But the scriptures tell you, man, that it tells you this. Let's read it. Ezekiel 7, In 19, it says, they shall cast their silver in the streets, and their gold shall be removed. Their silver and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of wrath of the Lord. All right? Because this money, the currency is getting ready to become nothing. The only way you're going to be able to maintain a slither of what you have in this place is if you're willing to take the MOTB, to merge with this devil's new monetary system, which was going to require for you to receive that mark. To receive this devil's mark, right, which is the RFID chip, that's you basically professing that this man is now my God. And by doing that, you completely made yourself an enemy of the Most High. So you're going to die anyway. There is no deliverance that money will give you here on this side. Now, the scriptures do say, let's be balanced. The scriptures do say money can be a defense. Yeah, and this time money could, help you out. You can help brothers out when they fall on hard times and things like that. But at the end of the day, for this final test, all right, this test that's going to be like to many, like a pop quiz because they haven't studied for it. For this final test, substance, money, isn't going to get you out of the destruction. What gets you out of the destruction is walking in faith. Okay, and if you're walking in faith, you're going to have works to go along with it. You're going to be a doer of the word and not a hearer only, like it says in James. Okay, let's read this again from the top. Ezekiel 7:19. They shall cast their silver in the streets, and their gold shall be removed. Their silver and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of wrath of the Lord. They shall not satisfy their souls, neither fill their bowels, because it is a stumbling block of their iniquity. All right, so the scriptures tell us that his servants are going to eat, that we're going to be protected, regardless of what we have in our bank account. There's a lot of people who are doomsday preppers. They've been doing it for years. And look, we always say that a lot of these people are storing with that food for the men of the Lord. The Lord's going to have it in some kind of way where you may run into substance, or somebody's, who put the spirit on somebody to, aid and abet you along this way. So, there's no reason for us to be engulfed with the concern of, oh, money, I need this, I need that. No, we need to grow in faith. Now, of course, man doesn't work, he doesn't eat. If you're able to, gain particular things in the world and it doesn't skew your effort, all right, towards the ministry, hey, man, go ahead. But, there's a fine line, all right, between, having the things you need and crossing that line of excess, and then your effort towards the Most High begins to decrease. There's a fine line. You got to pray to the Lord to, give you that discernment. Okay, so this is just a quick lesson I want to do this morning. I wasn't feeling well, but that doesn't deter my purpose. All right, it's gonna be a lot of days, especially here to come, where we may not be feeling well, but we still gonna, require for the Lord to do His part to watch over us. So we got to do our part. All right. So with that being said, I want to give all praises once more to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem Rukakadash. I want to give double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. And I want to say shalom to all the brothers and, of course, the few sisters who are pursuing this truth in sincerity. All right. May the blessing of election be upon you.